Hey, this is Aiden with Workman Firearms. Today, I'm going to show you how to disassemble and clean your standard basic AR-15 style platform. Now, before I get into the cleaning and the disassembling, we're going to go through the products that you're going to need to actually clean this firearm. Let's get to it. Supplies that you're going to need is CLP or some type of solvent, gun oil, cleaning patches, a 223 or 556 bore brush, a chamber brush, a nylon or brass brush, a 3 or 4 section cleaning rod, or a snake. Now let's break this firearm down. The first thing you're going to do is clear it. Remove that source ammunition, and then you're going to lock the bolt to the rear. You're going to want to physically and visually inspect that chamber, look inside that magazine well. One last time, physically and visually inspect that chamber. Alright, the firearm's clear. Send the bolt home. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove that rear receiver pin. You can use your thumb. If you have a very tight receiver pin though, you can take a bottle of CLP, apply some lubricant, and then use a punch rod with the tip of a pencil and punch out that receiver pin. From here, you're gonna swing down your lower, and then you're gonna pull on your charging handle and remove the bolt and the charging handle. Just put that off to the side. Now from here, since we're gonna clean this firearm, you're gonna wanna remove that front receiver pin. Usually the front receiver pin's a little bit harder to remove than that rear one. You can use your thumb, apply pressure. If it's very tight, then you can use the same method as the rear receiver pin. Apply a drop of lubricant, and then use a punch rod, punch out that front one. Now you have your upper and your lower. Now for cleaning purposes, we're not going to disassemble this firearm any further than this. The next thing you want to do is grab a container to put all the components of your bolt in. So you can use the tip of a bottle, or you can use your fingers, or you can even use tweezers if you have them on hand. And you're going to remove the firing pin retaining pin. From here, I like to hit the face of the bolt. It's going to push back your firing pin, and then you're just going to take that out. Now from here, you're going to rotate your bolt cam pin, just like so, and then you're going to pull up on it. Now you can remove the bolt. Now your bolt carrier group has been completely disassembled. From here, we're going to start cleaning the bolt carrier group first. I'm going to start by spraying the components of my bolt with some type of solvent. Now the solvent is going to break up all that carbon and debris that's inside your bolt. I'll then take my nylon cleaning brush and start scrubbing that bolt carrier group and the components of the bolt. When cleaning the bolt itself, make sure to really get inside the face of the bolt. Work your way to your firing pin. And if you have a lot of carbon caked onto your firing pin, a good tool to have is a toothpick. You can use that toothpick and just chip away at that carbon. Alright, once you've got all that carbon off of your bolt and bolt carrier group, I'm then going to take a little microfiber towel and wipe it dry. You don't need to use a microfiber towel. You can always use a paper towel or a rag, but keep in mind some of those objects do leave debris behind. All right, after you've cleaned that off and dried it off, we're just going to set that aside. Now from here, we're going to work on the lower receiver. First thing you're going to want to do is put that weapon on fire and then depress that firing pin, releasing that sear. Take some solvent and spray it inside. From here, you can either use your thumb or you can use a punch rod. Depress this little pin back here, and you're gonna remove the buffer tube. Buffer tube will come out, and then pull the spring along with it. With the buffer tube, you're just gonna wanna make sure there's no carbon buildup on it. Just gonna wipe that dry. And with that spring, I'm gonna spray it with some solvent. And then just dry it off. Now I'm just gonna place that off to the side. Now from here, we're gonna start cleaning that upper. We take some solvent, spray inside the upper receiver, break up any carbon that's in that upper receiver. From here, I'm gonna grab my snake with my bore brush. I'm gonna run it through the bore a couple times just to break up all that carbon. Next, we're gonna clean the bore. Grab your cleaning patches and an eye loop. Thread your cleaning patch through your eye loop. Attach it to your snake or your cleaning rod. Then you're gonna feed it through the bore. And you're just gonna repeat this process of running it through. Just gonna get the bore covered with that solvent, helping break up all that carbon. Then you're gonna repeat the process until your cleaning patches come out white. So you don't wanna see any carbon on it. Once your patches start to come out white, that's when you know you've kind of picked up all that carbon inside your bore. Then you're gonna take a dry cleaning patch and then you're gonna feed it through the bore again. And you're gonna continue this process until that dry cleaning patch comes out perfectly white again. All right, now that the barrel's finished, we're gonna then take your chamber brush and you're gonna attach this to your cleaning rod. You're gonna wanna put it down inside your upper receiver, inside that chamber, and twist it around in there, breaking up all the carbon inside that chamber. Once you've broken up all that carbon, you're gonna take some cleaning patches and you're gonna pick up all that debris in there. And then you'll keep wiping down that chamber until your cleaning patches come out perfectly white, ensuring that all that carbon has been picked up. From here, I'm just gonna wipe down the inside of that upper receiver. Also, another really good tool to have is just some Q-tips to really get inside that upper receiver. Take those Q-tips and just kind of get in those tight crevices. And same thing with that lower receiver. And now I'm going to dry off that lower receiver. Then also going to wipe down that magazine well. Lots of carbon likes to get trapped in there. From here, we're going to move to our charging handle. There's usually a lot of carbon that gets trapped inside that charging handle. Take your nylon brush, some solvent. We're just going to break up all that carbon. And And then just wipe it down. Lastly, we're gonna work on that muzzle brake. Spray it down with some solvent. Now you can use a brass or you can use a nylon cleaning brush for this. Yeah, scrub down that muzzle brake. And then wipe it dry. And now we're just gonna re-lubricate everything. Starting with your bolt carrier group. Get something that has a nice fine little tip to it. What I wanna do first is I'm gonna apply a couple drops on the outside. Then I'll take a little patch. I'll just rub that in. You just want a nice thin coat. Set that off to the side. From here, apply 2 drops onto the bolt. I'm just gonna rub that in. And then I'm gonna take that bolt cam pin and just apply 1 drop. You really wanna apply the lubricant to the parts that are all moving. From here, we're gonna reassemble. Grab your bolt carrier group and your bolt. Push your bolt in. You want to rotate it so the extractor is facing the 11 o'clock position. You're going to take your bolt cam pin and you're going to line it up with the hole that's inside that bolt. The bolt cam pin will only go in one way, one direction. It'll slide right in. From here, you're going to rotate it. And now you're going to take your firing pin, put it inside the bolt carrier group. You're going to push it through the bolt carrier group so it goes through the bolt cam pin and through the bolt. Just like so. And then now you can observe and you can make sure that the firing pin is protruding through the face of the bolt. Now take your firing pin, retaining pin. And sometimes these can be a little bit difficult to get back inside the bolt carrier group. If it is difficult, you're just going to rotate it in a clockwise direction until it goes in. Now from here, we want to make sure that the bolt is seated inside the bolt carrier group. So you're going to hit the face of the bolt and then you're going to flick it with your wrist. Hit the face of the bolt and then flick it with your wrist. Now at this point, when you flick it with your wrist and the bolt does not come out of the bolt carrier group and you hear a nice snap, then that means there's not enough lubrication on that bolt or your bolt is still dirty. Now from here, you're gonna apply 2 drops to the holes on the outside of that bolt carrier group. Now your bolt has been fully re-lubricated and now we're gonna work on the firearm. Starting with the lower, generously put a couple drops inside that lower. You want to put some lubrication on the springs inside that lower. From here, you're not going to apply any lubrication to your buffer or your buffer spring. And you're just going to slide it back into your lower. Push it back until you hear a click and make sure it's seated. Now from here, you're just going to apply 2 drops onto your charging handle. Take that cleaning patch, just smear it in. Now we're going to put your bolt and your charging handle into your upper receiver. First thing you want to do is hit the face of the bolt and flick it to make sure that the bolt is protruding. And then you're going to take your charging handle, put it into your upper receiver and apply slight pressure upwards and push forward. It's going to slide right in. Leave it out a couple inches. Take your bolt, make sure that the bolt is protruding out of the bolt carrier group. Line it up with your charging handle and then push it in. Make sure that the bolt is nice and flush with the upper receiver. Now you're going to take your lower, you're going to line up the front retaining pin with the front upper receiver, and you're just going to push in that retaining pin. just like so. Make sure it's protruding out through the other side. And then you're going to push in the last retaining pin. Make sure it's protruding through the other side of the lower receiver. From here, we're going to perform a functions check. The first thing you're going to do is put that weapon on safe, and then you're going to rack the bolt once. Place the weapon on fire, press your trigger, and hold it to the rear. From here, while you're holding the trigger to the rear, you're going to wrap your bolt twice. Slowly release and listen for the reset. Put your weapon back on safe. Attempt to fire it, nothing should happen. The firearm just passed the functions check. It has been fully cleaned and relubricated, and now you're all set to go. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. Thank you.